Good evening, everyone. Just a brief announcement. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending the meeting. Just a brief announcement. We're scheduled to begin in 2 minutes.
Welcome, everybody. Hit it.
Good evening and welcome to the City of Lincoln's regular meeting of the City Council. This meeting will be televised and available on cable channel 18, as well as via Zoom. Tonight's invocation will be given by Pastor Fred Benzel from Grace Life Church. Once the invocation has concluded, Mayor Andreatta will call the meeting to order.
Let's pray. In front of the council, and Father, we just pray for our city council, our city manager, all of our officials. Father, we pray especially this new year that you grant them wisdom and understanding, Father. Help them to make wise decisions that will better our community, Lord. We do pray for our community. We pray for our schools, our teachers, our students, that you'd keep them safe by your grace. We pray for our law enforcement officers, our firefighters, Father. We pray your hand of protection upon them as they protect us. And so, Father, we just ask even tonight and into this new year that our community would be bright, Father. It would shine. We pray again for your grace upon our council, upon all the decisions, not only tonight, but throughout this new year. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Fred. Really appreciate that. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for your patience. Welcome to the City of Lincoln 2025 regular meeting, City Council, Lincoln Redevelopment, Successor Agency, Lincoln Public Financing Authority, January 28, 2025. Call the meeting to order. Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Reedy.
Here.
Councilmember Pearl.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Eklund.
Here.
Mayor Andreatta.
I am here. Thank you. Number 3, report from closed session. That would be you. Great, thank you. All right, item number 4, Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Daggett, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you.
Which stands, one nation,
indivisible, liberty. Thank you for letting me put you on the spot. I appreciate that. All right, item number 5, agenda modifications. Anybody on the council wish to make an agenda modification? Just checking, Sean, there's nobody that needs to make a presentation that we're not going to make to wait to the end to this time, right? Okay.
No,
Okay,
not
okay.
yet.
Great, thanks. Just checking, thank you. All right, item number 6, we do have a couple presentations. And the first one is, we should have done this last meeting. We are going to have our city clerk minister the oath of office to our Mayor Pro Tem Ben Brown. And so we're going to do that first. So there you go.
I, Benjamin Brown, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and to the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
All right. Take a picture with your family. That's okay. You're still his family. Do you have a phone? Or maybe Aaron can get it for you. You're going to want this. This is important that we do this. So. Awesome. Great. Now you're official. It's good because I'm sure I'm going to need the help some sooner or later. Okay, item 6B, we have guests from Beale Air Force Base who want to give us a presentation about their, about their upcoming Air Force show. And so I'm excited to have them. Welcome.
Thank you. I'll look way cooler in the airplane than tripping over that thing. So,
Great. We can see it, but they, oh, there we go.
well, good evening. I'm Lieutenant Colonel J.C. Gorman from Beale Air Force Base. I'm the Air Show Director, Madam Mayor, and City Council members. Thank you for your time today. I'm just going to quickly present what we have going on in June at Beale. We have a really exciting time for you. The Air Force Thunderbirds are going to be there headlining, and we're going to be opening up the base for a couple days, showcasing our awesome airmen, our air power, and our capabilities, and our mission. We have quite a few acts that are going to be there. The Air Force Thunderbirds being the mainliners that we talked about, the U-2 Dragon Lady, which you may see fly over every once in a while, our T-38s, which are home to Beale. We have an F-18 that's coming, as well as a C-17 and KC-135, and we're almost there with the F-35. So it's going to be really awesome. We have a number of amazing civilian air acts as well. That should be awesome. It's going to be really family friendly. We have a STEM and kids area, so we'll talk about that in a minute, but that's going to be a lot of fun for the whole family. Just for folks that they do fly out of Lincoln Airport, not too many changes that we typically have. We have what's called a temporary flight restriction around Beale. It's about 10 miles. That's going to remain in place. It's going to go all the way down to the surface, though, during the air show. So a little bit more higher density traffic during leading up to the air show, starting on the Wednesday prior to the air show. Like I said, the June 6th is going to be our STEM day. We're going to be inviting local kids out to the area, and then we're going to be doing a bunch of STEM events out there. Let's see. And then the air show will be the 7th and 8th. So you can expect increased traffic flow probably through Lincoln from everyone coming up from the southwest from 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. We are looking for the local community to be involved in the air show as well, and looking to make positive impacts and contributions to our air show. We're collaborating with the Beale Military Liaison Council. Jeannie and Sammy are in the back there, and they can come here in just a minute. But what we're basically doing is licensing part of our ramp to them during the air show, and that's going to allow a lot more local volunteers and vendors to participate. So it should be good for everybody. And like we talked about on Friday, we'll be doing the STEM day, working with a lot of the surrounding school districts and local camps. I know it's like right in that transition towards summertime to try and encourage attendance there. Don't think it's a huge player for Lincoln, but in late March, we are doing a mass casualty exercise. and we'll be including the surrounding communities as we try and respond to hopefully something that won't actually happen. Here's a little bit about our STEM Day, because I think this is pretty cool. We've been working really hard on this. So we've got a lot of really cool opportunities for kids and the whole family to come out there. So right now we have a guy in the top right there. It's the TS11. It's an old Polish trainer. So he's coming out there. He's going to fly in the air show, and then he's going to have a bunch of STEM events that the kids can go up and look at the jet and see a bunch of other things. We have some virtual reality things that are going to be out there in terms of flying. Wheatland and I think Lincoln are going to be out there. We're still working on Lincoln, but I think it's almost there. The F-35 demo team is going to be doing some events. We have these mini jets. So if you see that second one on the right, on the second row on the right, they're like little mini airplanes that the kids are going to be able to jump in and drive around, and they sound like jet engines and everything. So it's really cool. Be a lot of fun. We have the Girl Scouts coming out there, and then we have an F-18 cockpit that you can jump in and look like Maverick. So it'll be really cool. We're just looking for support. The biggest way that we can do that is come out and see us. We want to show you our mission. We want to show you what we do every day. I know most days we can't just go out on the base, but now's a chance to go look at that. And then there's also opportunities to become a vendor and sponsor. And I can let Jamie talk to that. You guys want to come up if there's any questions?
Yeah, come on up. That's great, yeah.
Yeah, we're really, BMLC is really excited to be able to collaborate with Beal on this and put on this amazing air show. We haven't had one since 2018. So this is really going to be important to our surrounding regional community to look at this asset that is Beal Air Force Base. So yeah, if you have any interest in participating beyond just attending, please come visit our bealairshow.com website. You can get information on being a vendor. You can get information on sponsorships. That we also have a lot of information on elevated experiences. The air show is free to attend. Parking and general admission is free, but there are we are offering some elevated experiences as well for those looking for that. So, Amy, do you have anything?
Hi, my name is Amy Weaver. I'm with the 4th Support Squadron, so I'm on the military side.
Go ahead and step up to the mic that way. Yeah, thanks.
Hi, it's okay. My name is Amy Weaver. I'm with the 4th Support Squadron. I'm the marketing director there. Our main goal, of course, is morale, welfare, and recreation of our airmen, who are all pieces of your community. Air show is a fun thing that you're going to feel as they fly by, and your families are going to feel, and they're going to be able to be a part of. We are collaborating with BMLC on some of those experiences and some of those sponsorship opportunities and vendor opportunities. It also gives you a chance to see what we do as the 4th Support Squadron with our Kid Zone and some of that STEM area, and ways to support our airmen through the year with some of the events that we do on base. We have that opportunity for you guys all the time. If you have any questions, either Sammy or I, our information will be in the last one right there.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you reaching out to me and coming and presenting. So we're aware. We actually are trying really hard to be more engaged with Beal Air Force Base. We want to be a help and a resource to you. And so we will definitely put the word out and make sure our community knows. Did you guys have any questions or?
I don't have any questions, but I love it. I grew up in, of course, Great Falls, Montana, where Malmstrom Air Force Base is.
Oh, yeah.
And so my dad being there, and we've been to many air shows, and they're pretty awesome.
This one's shaping up to be pretty good. A lot of good opportunities out there that we wouldn't typically see at a more remote base like Beal, but it's gonna be awesome. So.
One quick question. I love an air show, obviously, because I'm the director of the Lincoln Wings and Wheels event, which is August 22nd and 23rd. So I have one request for you. If you could just bring back the T-Birds for us,
Okay.
that would be marvelous.
I'll talk to them.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments from, no, you're okay. From the public, anybody want to, we always just like to give the opportunity. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. Awesome. Looking forward to that. It's on my calendar. All right, item 6C, and don't feel like you have to sit through the whole meeting. You can go. Yeah, we would love to have you, but you don't feel obligated. It's totally fine. Yes, you're welcome. Thank you. I know. We'd love to have you stay, but we understand. All right, presentation of the fiscal year 2024 annual comprehensive financial report. from Nita Racker.
I thought you were talking to me for a second.
Oh,
there. You
yeah.
can go now.
No,
Thank
you
you.
don't get off that easy.
Okay, good evening. I am very pleased to present the city's annual comprehensive financial report completed by the Munn CPA firm and in collaboration and with a lot of work from city's finance staff. And Erica Pasteur, the audit manager who helped conduct this audit, is online and in control of the screen, and I'm going to turn this over to her.
Hi, good evening, everyone. You can see and hear okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Now, my presentation won't be as exciting as an air show, so I appreciate your patience here. But as Nita said, here to present the audit results for the June 30th, 2024 audit. The first thing that we just want to make sure that you're aware of as council is that these are management's financial statements. It's their responsibility to present the information to us. And so when we can go ahead and audit it as your independent auditors and then provide that independent opinion on whether or not the financial statements are being presented in accordance with GAAP, and that stands for Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, and just to ensure that there are no large or significant errors. Okay, so a little bit about our audit process. We begin the audit in June. It's a two-part phase, two phases we get it done in. The first part is what we call our interim. And during this time, we do a lot of our audit planning. We want to review council minutes, perform management inquiries, see what resolutions were approved, significant contracts, things like that, to make sure we have a really good understanding of any transactions, large transactions that occurred during the year. During this time, we also look at the different financial processes of the city, and we test controls, meaning that we want to take a look at how the city is receiving their cash receipts. We want to look at how disbursements are getting paid out, making sure that all invoices have proper approvals. We look at payroll, we look at time cards, we look at payroll reports. We also look at journal entries, bank reconciliations, and also the financial reporting process, because we want to ensure that the city has sufficient controls so that council is receiving accurate and timely information, since that's what you base a lot of your decisions made on. Okay, and then we come back for the second part of our field work in October 2024. This is when the city is complete with closing their books. So during this time is when we take a look at the actual numbers of the city. We test all of the year-end balances as of June 30th. Some of the types of tests that we perform is we'll send out confirmations to your financial institutions to ensure those balances are accurate and being reported to us correctly. We do a lot of cutoff testing. So we look at a lot of transactions right before and after the June 30th cutoff to make sure they're being recorded in the proper period. We perform various detailed tests of transactions, requesting lots of backup and support. And then we also do analytical review. And what that is we try to take a higher level approach with all the information that we've gathered through our interim part of the audit and then our year-end part of the audit, and make sure things like certain ratios make sense. Did prior year, if there was a large variance between the prior year and current year, does that make sense? And was it supported maybe by a new contract or things like that? So again, we kind of take that higher level review. As part of the audit, we also perform a single audit, and we'll go over this. This is when an entity receives over $750,000 of any federal grant monies. And then we assist in the preparation of the financial statements and the footnotes. Okay, then as a result of the audit, when it gets done, there are, 5 different letters that we ultimately issue. So I'll go over each one of those letters. The first one is going to be included in your ACFR. So that's the big financial report. If you ever see it printed out, it's probably 200 plus pages. It consists of 3 sections. The first is your introductory section, which contains basic information of the city and a transmittal letter. The second is going to be the bulk of the report, and this is your financial section. This is where you'll find the independent auditor's report that we issue, management's discussion and analysis, which is a really good high-level summary of what occurred during the year. Then you have the financial statements themselves and the related notes, which detail out all of the numbers that are being presented. And then lastly, this is followed by your statistical section, which contains other financial, economic, and demographic information on the city. Okay, So for the year ended June 30th, 2024, the city did receive an unmodified or clean audit opinion. This is the best opinion that you can receive in an audit, which again indicates that there are no material misstatements, so no large errors, no significant errors, and the financial statements are being presented in accordance with GAAP. Okay. The second letter that we issue is required under government auditing standards, and this letter would report to you any more of the significant findings that are issued in an audit. Those are also known as material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, and compliance exceptions. So this year, the city did have a couple, but they're the same as last year. So in regard to the material weakness, this is related to the special assessment debt proceeds that the city has been working on the past several years to get cleaned up. Just to clarify, this has nothing to do with current year transactions. Again, this is all early 2000 things that, again, that the city is just continuing to clean up. And I believe they're trying to get done by fiscal year 25. So hopefully, after this next fiscal year, all of the special assessment debt proceeds will be taken care of. And then the second significant deficiency, the second and third, is more related to financial close, financial reporting, and some grant revenue. Essentially, the city has begun transition to a new ERP system, so a new GL system. And in their transition, they've begun to use new modules, for example, in tracking their capital assets and tracking their leases. And so usually a lot of the times whenever there's a transition like this, a big transition, we do note several errors. And so that's a large cause of the adjustments that were posted this year were due to new modules that were being used. And so next year for fiscal year 25, when the city fully implements this new ERP system, we anticipate having these findings go away because now that they've been identified and the city can work on those recommendations. Okay, and then we had no compliance exceptions. All right, this is report number 3. So this is the single audit report that's issued. Again, when an entity expends more than $750,000 in federal grant funds, we are required to test some of the grants that were awarded to the city. So for fiscal year 24, we tested the home program, which are the home loans that the city has access to, and then also the ARPA funding that came in to the city. So we tested those 2 major programs. We issued, an unmodified or clean audit opinion for those major programs. We had no findings in relation to internal controls in regards to any of the grant requirements. And then we also had no compliance exceptions. Okay. Letter number 4 is your management letter. This letter will report to you any control deficiencies. And these are, I would call them kind of minor findings, recommendations for improvement. They're kind of lower level findings as opposed to the ones that were previously talked about in the government auditing standards letter. So we had 2 recommendations here for improvement. And again, these are related more to the city's transition to their new ERP system that were both related to cash transferring and the pooled cash funds. So again, we've identified these, and again, as the city fully implements into fiscal year 25, we do anticipate seeing these findings going away. I did want to point out that last year there were 6 recommendations under the management letter, and 5 of them were implemented. One of them did relate to accounts payable, and we did have a similar finding this year, and we kind of lumped that into the financial close finding. But again, overall, the city did implement all of the other 5 recommendations that were provided in the prior year. Okay, and then our last letter that we issue, it's a conclusion letter. It's kind of, again, a high-level summary of what occurred during the audit and things that we just want to make sure that you're aware of. So during fiscal year 24, there was a new accounting pronouncement that the city was required to implement, and it's related to any accounting changes and error corrections. And all this basically does is add a footnote describing that one of the non-major funds in the prior year, meaning so one of the many funds that are reported in the back of the financial statements was now considered a major fund. So it's being reported in the front of the financial statement. So there's this additional disclosure that has to be included when that happens. So that's in there. Other than that, there were no significant changes in disclosures. We are also required to report to any accounting estimates that are involved that we take a look at. We take a look at all of the assumptions that are being involved, the actuarial assumptions that are being made, and we want to make sure that those are being accurate and reasonable. And we did not find any issues with those. Okay, we had no difficulties encountered in performing the audit, no disagreements with management. Again, we kind of point out the special assessment debt issue just because that's an ongoing continuing issue that the city's been working on. And then this year we did have about 12 audit adjustments, which you can see in one of the attachments of the letter. It spanned over various audit areas, and again, why a significant deficiency was issued for the current year for the financial close aspect. Okay, so overall, again, in terms of the actual opinions that we issued for the single audit and for the city's financial statements, they were both unmodified, clean opinions, the best opinion, again, that you can get for an audit. We had the continuing material weakness for the special assessment debt, 2 significant deficiencies, no compliance exceptions, 2 recommendations for improvement, 12 audit adjustments, and no issues when we performed the audit. One thing I just really want to point out and thank Nita and her team and Janelle. We request a lot of information, and we have a lot of team members that are working on the audit at once and asking numerous questions on, various different items. And poor Janelle gets all of them. So we just want to thank her for all her work and support because it's really a collaborative effort to get the audit done. So thank you, Nita, and your team. I'm happy to answer any questions about the audit or the audit reports that were issued.
Great. Thank you so much for that. It was a wonderful report. Nita, did you have anything you wanted to add before we open to questions? Council?
No, I did discuss with each one of the council members and also with the members of the FIAC group, the material weakness, the significant deficiencies and the recommendations. And I think that I would echo what Erica said, that most of this is due to the transition to the new financial system, that we are going from a very less complex system to one that is much more complex. And when you make that big of a change in that big of an adjustment in your processes, that it takes a while to fine tune that. And in fact, we are still fine tuning the new system. And I think that by the time that we are completing the audit for fiscal year 2025, that it is possible that we'll see some additional recommendations or deficiencies as we continue to just build those processes. And I was telling the FIAC members that, when we moved to this new system, we immediately developed processes and procedures for many, many things, right? But as we're fine tuning the system, those processes change. And the auditors will see that throughout the year, that the process we give them at the end of the year is different than the beginning of the year. And something as simple as changing that process can result in a recommendation or even a significant deficiency to say, hey, you need to tighten that up. Yeah, we know, we're working on it. So it is a huge lift to implement a new system. And as Erica said, Janelle plays a bit of Tetris during the audit process of trying to answer all the questions from the auditors. So it's a huge lift. It's a huge lift from the accountant team and just a momentous effort. And with everything that they had going on with doing 3 months of working in 2 financial systems, one that was completely foreign to them, I thought they did an incredible job. And I know that we'll see more recommendations. It's really what we're paying MUN for, is to help us be better and better every year. And I believe that we're achieving that.
Yeah, I agree, and I really appreciate that. The findings and the adjustments, those are all good things. Like, we are far and away from where we were 7 years ago. The new system is needed and it's awesome. And I appreciate all the hard work that's gone into that. So I'm not concerned by these. I totally understand that we're just building the process, and sometimes there's little, hiccups along the way, but I appreciate the hard work that you guys have put into this. And I'm very happy with the result, and I'm grateful that we are where we are. Council, questions, comments?
No, I just echo the complimentary comments about the staff and the work you guys are doing.
I was here during the bad days when we had a long list of very serious deficiencies. And that's when we had a relatively stable accounting system, not transferring to a new one over here. So the types of items that the auditors have come up with probably are to be expected. You're in transition. I think that it's a good thing to have an audit, obviously, because it highlights those things which we can improve on. And you folks are doing just a fabulous job under some very difficult circumstances. So congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say the same thing. I think audits are a good thing, and deficiencies sounds like such a harsh response, but really I think a better word are recommendations and places of improvement. And I think that, again, you're doing an amazing job, and we went through a very thorough review together. And I think that, again, audits are good, and it allows us the opportunity to improve where we can and do better.
And continue on with our transparency. Let's open up, I see your hand, Chris. Let's open it for public comment. I was getting to public comment, and you can be first, sir. You can be first. We're still in school, right?
Just keep in mind, I pay Chris weekly stipend.
Yes, right.
Like you know what I'm going to say when I get up
Yes.
here. When do we get to applaud? Because they did a
You can applaud,
boatload
you
of
can
work.
applaud now,
Those
yes.
audits are
Yes.
intense. Awesome. And that'll be it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Any other comments from the public? Comment, yes, more of that. I love applauding our staff. Anybody online, Hope? Oh, okay, all right, we'll bring it back. All right, so do we have to adopt the resolution as accepting this, or is it just information?
No,
It's
this
just
is it.
info-
You know,
presentation,
the
right.
audit is what the audit is, right?
Right.
So we do present this at a public meeting to give the public an opportunity to not just know that we're doing an audit report, but to see that the outcome of it. And we do post it on our website for everyone to take a look at all times, right? Including our historical audits.
Yep.
But this is just an opportunity for us to continue our goal to strive to be as transparent as possible.
Thank you, Erica, appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You too. All right, moving on. Item number 7, public comment on non-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. So this is the time in our meeting when anybody in the audience or online may step to the mic and make a public comment on something that is not on the agenda. And I have 2 cards. I'll start with Chris Martin.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I am one of the board members for the Placer Veteran Stand Down. You should have a flyer on your table that talks about what the stand down is. I am also a combat veteran, and I'm here with another board member, Robert Elster, who you have his business card in front of you. He's our resident coastie. So I wanted to let you know that we have the stand down is coming May 6th through the 8th. This year, last year, we had over 430 veterans show up at the Roseville Placer Fairgrounds for services. And you can see some of the services that we do there, overnight accommodations. A lot of the stand downs, like Sacramento and stuff, they don't have overnight accommodations. And we're a 4-day event, which the first day and the last day are typically set up. We provide pet service, veterinarian care for some of them. Last year, we had a vet that basically cried because his dog had passed away a few years before because he couldn't afford the vaccinations for it. So he was very happy that we had a vet there. They can get dental work. Last year was the first time that we actually provided dentures. Those are about 10 grand.
That's great.
We have medical, vision, all kinds of stuff for the assistance. If you've not been to this, uh-huh.
Now is at a
Very good.
and we have
Eyeglasses.
eyeglasses as well.
Nice.
So we provide that for the veteran. I also was
As far as our stand down, you don't have to be a homeless vet to come and attend. And I will tell you now, any of the board members here who wants to come, please let us know. I'll be happy to put you in a golf cart and take you around and let you see all the services. Because unless you've actually looked around and seen, we take over the entire fairgrounds, except for the racetrack area and the Roebelin building. We have one building that does nothing but the medical services. We have another building that has service providers and anybody who wants to sign up. And I would recommend that your air show guy maybe consider signing up for a booth and promoting your air show that's coming up. So what we need from you is, number one, to get the word out. Please tell all your veterans. I've given some flyers to your police chief so that he can let some of the homeless that they encounter know. But any veteran is allowed to go. I know last year we probably had 15 pallets of combat boots. That any veteran that needed some new boots or hiking, we were happily getting rid of it. We ended up having to share with some of the other stand downs. We have a fundraiser coming up this Saturday at the Red Robin in Roseville. All you have to do is go there and say you're there for the fundraiser, and 20% of the proceeds of whatever you order is going to come to us. Our other big fundraiser, which you should have this flyer, is the green one. That's our luau that's coming up. This is also what's going to help pay for this event. This event cost us about 60 grand. That's a lot of money, and it takes a lot of help to do it. So we have tables available right now for the stand down for the luau, but we always need help. And it could be anything from, if you've got a group of people that want to cook breakfast, let us know. The two biggest meals that we have are the two lunches on the Tuesday and Wednesday. We have Thunder Valley and Randy Peters Catering cover those. So the breakfast and the dinners are more likely about 70 people. If you have somebody that wants to just buy pizzas or go buy Kentucky Fried Chicken and bring it and drop it off, let us know so that we can make accommodations. If you want to come and cook breakfast, it's got full kitchen services there. The same with dinner. Any kind of fundraising help that we need. And I know that we happen to need some storage spaces. So if you happen to know of any warehouses or something that'd be willing to give us some storage, because when you figure all of these pallets of DOD equipment that we get, we have to have somebody that delivers it. It delivers, we have to have somebody that accepts it, and we have to move it around. And we're talking probably 100 pallets sometimes of all of that stuff that comes in.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you both for your service. We're greatly indebted to you, and thank you for the information. I love what the stand down does, and we'll do our best to get the word out and be of assistance however we can.
Yep.
In our community.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you for your
much.
time.
Thank you.
for your
Appreciate it.
service.
Thank you. You go enjoy those new teeth, sir. All right, we'll go on to the next one. Donald Newman
Actually, Madam Mayor, I do have someone with their hand raised.
on Zoom.
Yes.
Okay,
So
we'll get to
just
that.
a note, yes.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We'll get to that next. I won't forget the Zoom people. It does. You just have to hit the button there. Push the button, please.
Button the top? So my name is Donald L. Newman. I'm a former resident of Lincoln. I used to live in Catafadera. I'm a retired registered investment advisor. I've been a insurance agent with the state of California for nearly 50 years. I'm here to prevent a problem for the city of Lincoln and its citizens. On January 15th, we got a judgment. My son got a judgment against the city of Lincoln for $1,794.74 for a parking lot cement block that had a rebar hanging out of it in the disabled parking section. So I had called your city attorney and told her what happened. And the city attorney told me to fill out all the paperwork. I filled out all the paperwork. Then I get a letter from your city attorney, and I'm calling for the city attorney to be terminated because this is inappropriate legal advice to any citizen in the city of Lincoln. This is what she said. The city is not liable in cases where the city had no prior actual or constructive notice of a dangerous condition. When I went to court, I read this to the judge. He said that the city attorney ought to take another law class because he awarded the judgment. This is ridiculous. If you want to see the letter, I'd be happy to show it to you. If you want to see the parking lot with the rebar hanging out of it, that somebody could have fallen down
that rebar could have gone through their body or my body, and a lawsuit against the city of Lincoln would have been for at least $50 million, if not more. And your city manager needs to instruct your public works department to survey the city properties, because this rebar and this broken cement has been there for a long time. If you want to see the picture, I'd be happy to show it to you. If you don't care about seeing the picture, that's up to you. But I think you need to tell your city manager for the public works people to go do it. Now, I'm going to collect this judgment in one way or the other. So I did tell the mayor about this, and the mayor said she understood. She said she told the city manager. Fine, the city manager called me. He didn't believe I had an actual judgment. I said, what are you talking about? He said, we don't even know if we were served properly. I said, I got all the paperwork here. It shows that you were served. When we went to court, nobody showed up for the city of Lincoln. Nobody, not the city attorney, not the city manager. Nobody showed up. We did the whole case without anybody showing up. I don't know if that's the kind of people that you want working for you, but I got to tell you, you got a big liability hanging over here. So if I don't get paid on this judgment, because the city manager told me last Wednesday, on Thursday, he was going to mail out a check for my son for the $1,794.74. I wouldn't be here tonight if that check came in the mail. So it didn't come. That's why I'm here. I'm here for two reasons. One, to collect the judgment, and two, to inform every one of you that you got a major liability hanging out here by the people that work for you that are not doing their proper job. End of my question. You want to see any documents? I'd be happy to show it to you. If I don't get paid, I'm going to do a writ of execution and go into the city's bank account and take the money. Any questions?
No, thank you, Mr. Newman. Appreciate your comments.
Okay, well, the last thing I want to know is can my son pick up a check?
We're happy to respond to the comments at the close of
Yes, when we're
public
done. Yeah,
comment.
yeah. We'll respond when we're finished with public comment.
You want me to stay?
Nope, you can go ahead and sit back down, and I have other public comments, and then we'll answer all questions that were asked or
Okay,
comments.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can you take me back over?
Anybody else in the room that has public comment on an item not on the agenda? Okay, on Zoom?
Thank you. It is, I have Miss Fran Neves.
Oh, hi, Fran, go ahead. Yeah, we've missed you.
Hi, everybody. I just got unmuted there. Well, I wanted to say that I noticed that the speed limits were changed on 12 bridges, and I wanted to thank you for doing that. They're lower by the school. They're at 45 miles per hour by Cataverdera. Now, you've also lowered the speed limit on 193 by the Lincoln Christian Academy, and Oak Tree Lane to 35 miles an hour. So the reason I'm calling in on Saturday night in the dark on Oak Tree Lane, I was leaving the church going towards 193, and the Workman's Road was open. There was no barricades, no cones, no reflectors, nothing. Anybody could have gone straight into the Workman's Road where they're keeping all their tractors, and it's gravel, and somebody could have gotten hurt there. So I called. I left a message on Saturday night, and nobody had to respond. I was just asking if somebody could close that road when nobody's there. So nobody called me back, which is okay, but they also didn't close off the road. And there's at least 3 or 4 meetings a night at the church, and it's dark. And even in the daylight today, when I was going down from the church to 193, it was broad daylight, nobody was working, and that road was wide open. So I would like somebody to talk to the workers about closing off that road when nobody's there, because it's possible for someone to drive into that area where all their tractors and everything is, So I think it's a hazard, and I think it's easily fixed. They could just close it off when nobody's there, and particularly at night. So that's what I was calling it about.
Okay, thank you, Fran. I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I think you mentioned that this morning, right, Sean, that was a little bit of a
Yeah,
safety
there's
concern.
2 issues. So we'll address that. That's an easy fix. The other one was that Sundays, there's a lot of traffic coming to and from the couple of churches in that immediate area. And so I've been tracking it we're having some conversations with Tykert, I think is on that job, about some signage and maybe, to the extent even necessary, some additional kind of safety assistance during that time period when we are kind of getting to the end. And just so everybody knows, because I get this question all the time, hopefully people are out there listening, Oak Tree Lane is on track for early summer, is what I'm being told.
Okay.
So
Great.
moving along.
Great, thank you. Anybody else online? Hope? Nope. Okay, all right. So we'll close public comment and then let city attorney respond.
Thank you, Mayor Council. I think there are a few points of clarification that are very important here. As an attorney licensed before the State Bar of California, I am not allowed to appear in small claims court to represent a client. That's how small claims court works. That being said, I do process claims. We receive claims in the city of Lincoln ranging from anywhere from $50 to tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars. In coordination with staff, we do internal investigation of the claims. And based on the information I have at that time, a claim is either denied, returned as untimely, for example. There are a number of outputs. We could say we don't have enough information. We need more information to be able to make a decision. Ultimately, a decision is made in order to allow the 6-month statute of limitations to begin running. The other important thing to keep in mind is that the city of Lincoln is not an insurance company. It is our job to review the claims and determine if there is validity to the claim before we start disposing of taxpayer dollars to pay these claims. In this situation, by the time we received Mr. Newman's decision that he elected to file a lawsuit in small claims court, I went back to staff. There was a decision made that because I couldn't go to court to represent the city, the decision was made that we would allow this particular item to go to a default judgment. And that's what happened. We did not have staff at the time. We made a decision that we felt we would be able to present a case that would be compelling to the court, so we allowed it to go to a default judgment. The judgment was received. A check request was immediately submitted. It is in process. It typically takes the city about 2 weeks to process a check request. At that point in time, we will contact Mr. Newman. He will be asked to come into the office and execute what is called a satisfaction of judgment, which will then be filed with the court, advising the court that the judgment has been satisfied in full.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And for clarification on the parking space with the rebar, we don't actually know how long it was there, what caused it, or, and I do know that Public Works repairs things all the time, so we have no idea how it happened, right?
Yes.
Correct. That was part of the basis for the denial initially.
And what I'd also mention, and I spoke with Mr. Newman about this on the phone, that while I understand that in a perfect world, any breaking of any city infrastructure, Public Works would love to know right away and immediately fix it. We're resources and personnel infinite. But as Matt always tells us, we have 250 lane miles of road just in Lincoln, in addition to hundreds of public facilities. And so to the extent that we're aware of a problem, we immediately try to address it. For a variety of reasons, not liability necessarily, just because it's the right thing to do. We want to make sure we're keeping track of things. Does it always work? No, not always. But as far as I'm concerned, having worked across a number of municipalities, our Public Works team is just about the best addressing immediately when they can. So,
Okay.
my opinion.
Appreciate that information, and you'll have your check soon, sir. And so, yeah, so we're no more comment. Public comment is closed. So if you want to talk to me afterwards, we can talk afterwards. Yeah. Okay. Moving on to item number 8, consent. Does anybody on the council or any member of the council wish to pull an item for consent? No? Anybody from the public? Okay, then I will accept a motion to.
Madam Mayor,
approve the
I'm so sorry. It
Oh, is there
looks
somebody
like-
online?
It looks like Fran has raised
Oh,
her hand
sorry.
again.
Fran, do you want to pull an item from consent?
Said he was going to address Oak Tree Lane.
He did.
Yeah, hi, Fran. I did. I'll do it again. We will make sure that that section you talked about is closed when not in use. And then I mentioned that I think you had left me a voicemail actually earlier this week, in addition to a couple other citizens, about just concern on Sundays with a lot of the church traffic. We're working on that too.
Yeah, but it's at night too. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'll accept a,
Move to approve the consent.
did you want to pull something from 8B? Okay, sorry, I didn't see your hand earlier. Okay, anything else? Just 8B? Okay, all right.
I'll move to approve the rest of the consent calendar
Okay.
besides 8B.
Roll call, please.
Thank you. Councilmember Reedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearl, Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Eklund,
Yes.
Mayor Andriotta.
Yes. Okay, thank you. All right. Item 8B, adopt resolution 2025-012, authorizing the city engineer to install stop signs on Independence Avenue at the intersection with United Drive. Did you have a specific question or do you want a presentation? Okay, thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm just curious in the, interest of transparency, which of the MUTCD's requirements for a stop sign in a city intersection did this intersection meet in order to input this, to install a stop sign?
Okay,
Sure. Vin K, city engineer. Typically with any, stop control intersections, right? It's governed by state law, MUTCD, Manual for Uniform Traffic Control Devices, right? And those guidelines are there for a reason. It's to make sure that, that the city goes through a process or local municipalities go through a process before they change stop control at any intersection. Now, at this particular location, there were a couple of considerations. It's, the amount of pedestrian traffic. Before we can determine whether an intersection change is warranted, typically there's a couple of things. The geometry is one. If there's sight distance issues and, there's some obstruction in the way, that's one reason where you can implement always stop. If there's high pedestrian traffic volume, that's another warrant, right? And so in this particular case, it's the pedestrian volume that drives it. And we're confident in the analysis that went with this implementation.
Did that answer your question? Darla?
It's going to be a four-way stop, correct? Okay, so.
Yes, that's correct.
Industrial is what I call Third Street, down where I live. And United Drive is called J Street, where I live, 2 blocks from a school. Now, you guys may be surprised, but a lot of high school kids walk home, and they walk right through there. A lot of elementary kids walk home. They also walk through there. So we have the same combination there as they do there. We talked about this with Sean earlier or weeks ago, and they said, because I had pointed out that it would also help the traffic coming from the railroad down all the way to Third Street, where the school is, where our children are, and where constantly the traffic is heavy and they're going fast. Now, when they were relining the lines, because our street on Third Street is wide, to make it more narrow, they literally stripped out the walking on J Street and Third. So now the kids, when they walk, don't have that bubble. But according to Sean, we don't have a bubble when we cross on the crosswalk. So if we get hit, it could be our fault. So my question is, what's the difference between that and ours?
Which one of you want to take that?
Sure. We try to treat each intersection or each location on a case-by-case basis. When I joined the city a little over a year ago, we implemented a monthly interdepartmental staff coordination meeting that involves public works, community development, construction inspection, and the police department. So something like this, I will certainly take into consideration. We're gonna identify this item for our city team to evaluate. But again, if a stop control or a change is warranted, we will, do our best to get it implemented.
I think I'll just add a couple things. I appreciate the comment because I understand that like the point of the question and comment is why is this different from a different location in town that a stop sign was wanted by some folks that live in that neighborhood. And if you look in the staff report, there's some really good aerial photos, and you'll notice that it really is kind of an apples and oranges situation. You have an area that's immediately adjacent to the one major park in that subdivision that is expected to be quite busy, that's immediately adjacent, not a block down, not 2 blocks down, immediately adjacent. And so 4-way stop there just simply makes sense. We have very similar situation. Some council members may remember north of Virginia Town Road, where we had residents come. It was adjacent to a park, and there was total uncontrolled intersections all around that park. And with development occurring to the north of it, we were seeing traffic volumes increase there, and so it's very different. The section of 3rd Street that we're discussing has stop signs immediately adjacent, 4-way stop signs immediately adjacent to the school. What we're talking about, and what we've explored with Darla and Jason, is a stop sign. What I'm going to mess is 2 blocks down, to the east. And it may be that it's at some point, as we kind of continue to do warrant analysis there, that the stop sign is warranted there. The analysis of our experts and our traffic safety division over in police was that it's not there. And so just so council knows, because we haven't really discussed this at a council level, what we decided upon just before the holidays was we have a project that we're putting together currently to design some intersection improvements at the corner of 3rd and L to address some of the concerns about pedestrian safety in that area, especially since it's adjacent to the school. So what we kind of want to do at this point is get that project in the ground, evaluate, is it useful? Is it helping people? Do people feel that, because a lot of this has to do with feel as much as it does actual safety. And then if an additional controlled intersection 2 blocks to the east is necessary, then we'll continue to analyze that and we'll do it. It's that simple.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this item? All right, we'll bring it back to the council for a motion.
I'll move to approve 8B.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Thank you. Councilmember Reedy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearl,
Yes.
Councilmember Eklund,
Yes.
Mayor Andriata.
Yes. All right, thank you. Moving on to item number 9, public hearings. 9A, conduct public hearing and waive first reading and adopt by title only ordinance 1086B, an ordinance of the City of Lincoln repealing and reenacting section 5.32 of the Lincoln Municipal Code regarding massage parlors. Ms. Mollenkoff.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. What is before you tonight was the results of the Lincoln Police Department coming to me and indicating that they felt our existing massage ordinance was a little light in its requirements and their ability to enforce. I think what's really important also is to realize that our ordinance was enacted in 1998. The latest revision was in 2013. Since that time, I think we've all watched the news and seen the dramatic spike and increase in our communities of drugs, sex, and human trafficking, related prostitution. And so it has really elevated as a societal concern. Law enforcement reports that massage parlors tend to be, and those types of establishments tend to have criminal activities oftentimes more attendant to them than we would oftentimes hope. And so our police department has actually been working in conjunction on a task force with the Rockland Police Department to assist them in addressing some of these massage establishments who are a little less than reputable and engaging in law enforcement activities there. They felt that in order to make this task force sort of the most efficient, it would be helpful to have our ordinance basically parallel one another so that when Rockland officers came to assist in Lincoln, they knew exactly what the rules of engagement were and that the law was, and that likewise, when our officers went to Rockland, there wasn't any inconsistency in their ability to enforce. And so that's what we've done. Officers Travis Parson and Bryce Rogers worked with me in order to bring our ordinance into direct line with what Rockland has been utilizing. So the new proposed ordinance sets forth requirements for providing out-call massage services. So that includes individuals who would perhaps come to your home to provide those types of massage services, and not just those provided in a brick and mortar facility. The ordinance contains more specific requirements for the application of a business license, including detailed information regarding the applicant, background, their licensure with the California Association of Massage Therapists, providing insurance, and so forth. Massage permits under this scheme would be applicable for only 1 year and would have to be renewed thereafter, thus them having to demonstrate on an annual basis that they meet the qualifications to provide these services. It sets forth more specific guidelines for how an application can be denied or repealed, and then provides for an appeals process if an application is actually denied or terminated. Oh, excuse me. Massage establishments may only hire therapists who are licensed by the CAMT. And then it sets forth a number of requirements and restrictions for the building. In other words, specific requirements for changing rooms, window coverings, sanitation. It prohibits beds and floor mattresses, which is oftentimes what you see in these types of illicit operations, where the back half of the house is utilized for residential facilities. And a lot of times what they'll find is that these massage therapists, air quotes, are young women and men who are being trafficked from the Bay Area to Sacramento, to Placer County, and then back through and again. And so we're really trying to be able to have a little more teeth in our ordinance so that we can make sure that although this hasn't risen to the level of concern here in Lincoln, as it has in Rockland and Roseville, that it doesn't going forward. And so a violation of this ordinance can be charged as a misdemeanor. So that could be cited in coordination with law enforcement as a misdemeanor, with separate civil remedies that are available, including injunctive reliefs that could be pursued on a dual track. And so with that, I would be willing to entertain any questions. Chief is here too. I don't see Bryce and Travis here in the audience tonight, as I'd hope they would be, but otherwise, I would be asking this council to open the matter for a public hearing and waive first reading and adopt by title only our new ordinance revising this chapter of our municipal code.
Okay. All right, we will, let's do this. Let's open the public hearing and see what the public has to say, and then we'll bring it back to the council. So open the public hearing. Does anybody have any testimony or comments on this item? Anybody online? Come to the mic, please.
Hi, good
Hi.
evening, council. Happy New Year. I think I just want to more so reiterate what I heard, make sure that I'm understanding correctly, and then you can confirm or deny if I understand correct. But I think what I understood was that we're marrying up with what Rockland has already instituted in their requirements for massage parlors. And one of the things I really understood you say was that where out-call massage services is getting tighter, understanding of what those services look like. And then also the business license being annually renewed was really interesting. Kind of joking lightly, but I used to live in Yuba City and I used to work in Roseville, and I passed through Lincoln before we had the bypass. And that was a small young kid joke of the massage parlor that we had on 193. So I'm glad to hear that we as a city have never experienced that. I did work for Stand Up Placer as a volunteer coordinator. So sexual assault and human trafficking is something very important to me. So I leave it with that, just understanding. Thank you for coordinating that. Our police department, thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody online? No? All right, close public hearing. Bring it back to the council for questions, comments. Go ahead.
Christine, have we established a specific fee for this?
I do not know the answer to that, but it would have to be part of our fee structure that will be part of the next update to our master fee schedule.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? This ordinance, would it apply basically retroactively to establishments that are already in existence? And if so, how much time do they have to come in compliance if they're not already?
So they already have to have an annual business license.
Yeah,
And
everybody
so,
does, right? Yeah.
right, every business operating within the city of Lincoln does. And so at the next renewal stage, that's when this program would be implemented.
Okay, great. Well,
But
so,
but the other requirements about how your facility is operated, all of
Yeah.
that will go into effect immediately as soon as the ordinance is passed and the period for referendum has expired.
so would we do inspections on the existing facilities just to make sure that
We
they're-
certainly could. We certainly
I'm just
could.
curious if
Yeah.
that's what,
There are, fortunately in Lincoln, there are very few. I think we only have 3 or maybe 4
yeah.
massage of these types of facilities that would be impacted by this. And so I think it would be a very simple, straightforward thing for code enforcement, maybe in conjunction with law enforcement, to reach out and just ask for a voluntary inspection and go from there.
Well, I'm glad to hear 2 things. One, that this issue hasn't really risen to the level of great concern in Lincoln. And as far as I know, the establishments that we have have been pretty reputable. So I'd like to keep it that way. And secondly, I'd like to say again, how much I appreciate staff working together and being proactive instead of reactive. So I love that about our staff. So, unless council has any more questions or comments, I'm ready to take a motion on this item.
I move to adopt by title only ordinance 1086B.
I second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Eklund?
Yes.
Councilmember Reedy?
Yes.
Councilmember Pearl?
Yes.
Mayor Andriata?
Yes. Hey, thank you, Christine. Appreciate that. Hey, general business. Item 10A, adopt resolution 2025-015, authorizing a budget augmentation in the amount of $1,215,000 to fund 2400 PFE transportation for the Moore Road Class 1 Trail Project and release of the budget encumbrance of $1,215,000 in Fund 2460 PFE Parks. Nita, is this yours?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is a bit of administrative cleanup. We'll say that this project was initially approved in the fiscal year 22-23 budget. We're not making any change to the project. It is in process. I think they're finalizing the design work now. And when this was initially approved, it was included in the PFE Parks Fund, which is an appropriate place for it to be funded. But as we continue to look for all of the park dollars available for the city's outstanding obligation to build the skate park, the community park, finish Jimenez, build Bella Breeze, I'll say we're turning over the sofa cushions and shaking out the cookie jar to find all the pennies that we can. And we realize that this project could also equally be funded through PFE transportation, that it is eligible in either one of these PFE funds. And so in communications with the engineering department and in talking with the city manager, we made the decision to transfer this entire project. So what this item is doing is transferring the budget authority for the entire project, the 1.2 million. And in addition, or I should say also, the second action in the resolution is to take the expenditures that have already occurred. It's about close to what, $300,000 over 3 fiscal years. So that's included in the 1.2, but actual expenditures that have already, monies that have been spent, and we're moving those also from parks to transportation.
Thank you. Questions, comments?
One question, Nita, are we compromising anything in the transportation fund, any projects?
No, the transportation fund has received a recent infusion of funds as part of the final bond cleanup that happened in November, so it has the money.
I love it when a plan comes together.
Anybody else? Anybody from the public? Anybody online? Okay, bring it back to the council for a motion.
I'll move adoption of, what are we on?
10A.
On 10A resolution 2025-015, budget augmentation on 1.215 million.
Second. Oh,
Oh, that was close.
my mic's on, yours not.
We'll give it to Ben. Okay, roll call, please.
Thank you. Councilmember Pearl,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Reedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Upland,
Yes.
Mayor Andriotta.
Yes. All right, thanks, Nita. Okay, item 10B, adopt resolution 2025-016, approving the establishment of a systems security analyst position within the Information Technology Department, the adoption of the salary schedule, and the newly established Systems Security Analyst 1 or 2 Senior Classification Series, and a budget augmentation in the amount of $45,485 to fund 6,000 internal service. Sam, hello.
Hi there. Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. So the item before you is to request to establish one system security analyst position full-time within the Information Technology Department, to approve the proposed salary schedule for the newly established classification series, and to approve an augmentation to the budget in the amount of $45,485 to fund 6,000. City expansion and growing regulatory requirements have highlighted the need for more robust and secure information technology services. The proposed position will perform information security functions while also supporting several critical programs like the supervisory control and data acquisition and the computer-aided dispatch systems. Establishing a system security analyst position will ensure regulatory compliance and protection of the confidentiality and integrity of the city's data and infrastructure, thereby reducing the city's reliance upon external vendors for such services. And that concludes my report. I can answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate that. Questions?
I was wondering if you or Jen could talk a little bit about the cross-training you do between people and as they silo into a particular new specialty, how that's shared among staff.
I'll defer to Jennifer on that.
So this is a new position that is required for us to meet some compliance regulations. So the point of this position is filling something that we're not currently doing. And so for this, we don't have a person who is this person. We actually use outside vendors for some of these services, and or we don't complete the task at hand. So what this is doing is filling a void.
Maybe just to add a little though, Jen, I think like the broader question is your team provides a variety of cybersecurity kind of things they already do. This is in supplement to, and also will help, you know, if you have more technical issues that maybe some of the staff are not prepared to deal with now, this person maybe comes with that kind of training.
Yes, so we do, I mean, it's not like we're ignoring the cybersecurity stuff. We still do that. I'm sorry if that's how that came across. That's not what my point was. This is very, this would be the person's sole position. This would be their job. They're not going to be doing help desk tickets. They're not going to be doing projects unless it's related directly to security. This would be a person who is actively doing the things we need to do on a daily basis all over the city, be it within critical infrastructure, within public safety, within just the systems that we're running. You know, the environment that we are in, we are constantly on alert, and there's new things happening every day. And so just having a person dedicated to that helps me sleep better at night, and as well as my staff, you know. So the cross-training that they will definitely bring the techs into the fold for a lot of these issues. So it's probably going to be driven more the other way than it would be from existing staff to the systems person. The systems person would be existing staff would be shadowing the systems person for that role.
And the systems person would be under your supervision in your department?
Yes,
Yes.
direct, under me and the, not under, the supervisor, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
What, is that all?
Yep.
Okay. Anything else? Yeah.
Nita, this is a rhetorical question because I think I know the answer. By charging it to the internal service fund, that will then be distributed to all the funds in the city. So it's not a direct hit only to the general fund.
Yeah, that's correct, that, that the 600 fund is an allocated fund, right? So every expense is in there, so the finance staff, the IT staff, et cetera, get allocated all to all the departments across the city. The general fund does share the majority of that burden because it is the largest fund. And additionally, we can make little tweaks based on use. So for example, if the water and sewer funds are using this particular position more, we can adjust those percentages, but generally we just stick to the percentages in the cost allocation plan.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the public? Online. Did I already ask that? Okay. All right. If there's no other questions or comments from the council, I'll accept a motion.
One quick thing.
Oh, yeah.
Just because I have not had the familiarity that our former treasurer has, it'd be useful when we see these in the future to see some of those allocations
Yeah.
to understand what the new positions load would be on the general fund.
Yeah, we will definitely include that in the financial impact section going forward. You know, right now, I'll say historically, what we would do is just say impact of this fund, 600 of this dollar amount. But since it's an allocated fund, I think it makes perfect sense to show the allocation to the various funds in the city.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I'll move adoption of resolution 2025-16.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Reedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearl,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Eklund,
Yes.
Mayor Andriata.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Are you, okay, thanks.
Thanks, Sam.
All right. Item 10C, adopt resolution 2025-017, authorizing the establishment of one accounting manager position in the finance department and augmenting fund 6,000 internal service in the amount of 70,214 for the remainder of fiscal year 2024-25.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'm presenting this item because this is a position in my department that I've been lobbying for a little bit here. So this is a position that currently exists within the city, but not an allocation that is currently in the finance department. So that's what we're asking you to do, is to increase the number of STEs in the finance department and to also augment the budget to pay for the salaries for this person. The accounting manager would be a mid-management position, so it would report directly to the finance director, and the hierarchy within the finance department is currently the finance director, the finance manager, and then below that would be this accounting manager position. They will oversee the accounting functions. They may also oversee the utility billing functions. They will oversee payroll. They will also assist with the analysis of the financial statements, and will probably even help reduce some of the burden that we currently have a void in for the CFDs. But we're still kind of working out all of those duties. It really depends a lot on the capabilities and the experience of the person that we hire. And I think, you know, without going into a long diatribe of how important this position is, I would say that the accounting function is the gatekeeper for the entire city. The audit report that you just saw is a direct result of the accountant's ability to manage, administer, and analyze all of the financial information for the city. So the accounts, the bills that are paid, right? That person reports to someone else, right? But even though they're not responsible for paying the bills, they are responsible for how the bills are recorded in the general ledger. Same thing for the checks that come in. That's handled by somebody else. But accounting is again responsible for how those revenues are reflected in the income statements. So they are the gatekeepers for everything. It makes it a very stressful and very intense job. And so we really felt that it was important to provide that leadership and oversight and management that the accountants are really only getting from me right now. And so to have someone dedicated to that process, dedicated to fully bringing on Tyler, to building all the processes of the new financial system, makes sense more than ever right now.
And just in case anybody doesn't know, Tyler is the
Oh, yeah,
system.
thank you.
It's
Our
not a
new financial
person.
system,
Yeah.
Tyler Tech. I feel like it's a,
It's your new
it
best
is a
friend.
person, yeah. I call him 10 steps, Tyler,
Right.
Tyler, because it takes us 10 steps to get anything done now.
And correct me if I'm wrong, there's a good possibility that you will have a retirement in your
Oh, yeah,
department.
thank you very much. I keep forgetting that because it's just an emotional block. for
Yes,
me.
I know.
And this will
So-
help you sleep better at night.
Yes.
too, right?
Yeah, so there is a critical position that I won't identify at this point because nothing's been formalized, but
Right.
there is a critical position in my department that is most likely going to be retiring within less than 2 years. And filling this position now gives us an opportunity to share some of the burden when that occurs. And who knows, depending on the qualifications of this person, perhaps it's something that they would aspire to become.
Okay, questions, comments?
Yeah, I just think this is, again, kind of the theme of the night, that we're being proactive, moving forward, looking in the future at what our needs are going to be, not just currently, but I do understand that you have a very heavy load and it should require multiple people. So to me, this makes complete sense and I support this.
Well, and in light of the fact that, you know, we are a growing city and there's more on our plate all the time. And I remember the days, as Richard will too, where our finance department was a holy nightmare. And Richard said earlier that the accounting system was stable, meaning that they weren't in transition, but it was so antiquated, it wasn't stable. And so we've come so far and you guys have done such great work, and that we are growing, and then you are gonna have a retirement, and it's really important that you be able to train this person up and to keep the stability happening that we have now. So I appreciate you bringing this forth, and I don't ever want to go back. We're moving forward, and I'm excited. I know that you said this new system, it's a lot more complicated, but it's also better for us, correct, right?
You know, it is so much better
Yeah.
than the system that we had in terms of the ability to implement controls and to safeguard the city's finances, that it is really just night and day, that there are things in this system that just don't exist in the current program that we're using, like our auditor, Erica mentioned, our fixed assets. So that's all of everything that's the city owns, this building, this furniture, all of the equipment that we have, the vehicles, everything is considered an asset, our computers, right? We were tracking that on spreadsheets. Spreadsheets that were maintained by one person doing manual entry after doing a review of the expense accounts, looking for new purchases and calculating that depreciation in a spreadsheet that if you messed up a formula somewhere, which happened 2 years ago, everything could go sideways. And so we moved all of our assets into Tyler Technologies in advance of going live with that system, because I just couldn't take that stress anymore. Jen was talking about the things that keep her up at night. Okay, fixed assets is one of the things that keeps me up at night. And so we moved it into advance so that we actually have an automated system now. And once we are fully integrated into the new financial system, we'll be able to do almost an automatic review where the system will flag us. Hey, you purchased something that could be a fixed asset. I see that eyebrow raise. You purchased something that could be a fixed asset. Did you want to look at it? Did you want to make it a fixed asset? We can help you do that. And once you make it a fixed asset, we'll automatically calculate depreciation for you. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Here's your report.
Amazing.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I really wish I could get it to talk to us that way. It would
Yeah,
be so
that's
awesome.
Probably coming.
Nita, I want to correct that the Springbrook was originally purchased, I think, in 2010.
I think that's correct, Jim.
So it's 15 years old, so.
Yeah, in fact, and Jen will back me up, so Springbrook, it's an on-prem system, which means we own it, right? It's no longer supported, and the option when the city considered a new financial system was to either upgrade to a Springbrook that is vastly different than we have now, but still not as complex as the system that the city chose, which is Tyler Technologies ERP.
Thank you. Okay. I don't think I already asked for public. Any comment from the public? Yes.
So it's great to see and hear the new positions that we're coming up with in the city, right? I think there was an attorney position, that a general of some sort in the legal department. Right now, we're talking about cybersecurity and increasing our response times. And then now accounting as 7 years and the deficiencies. So it's really great to see these new positions. I love my career, so I don't want to come work with you all, but it's glad to see that you're starting to delegate some of this work. One of the key things that I wanted to say about this is I'm hoping that it does clean up deficiencies, right? To be able to allow that, as you talk about the retirement and the person upcoming. It's nice to be able to promote from within and be able to have somebody that's not new to Lincoln and knows a little bit about our processes. So it's great to see those positions. And then the key thing, I think, too, is I hear about this ERP system, but the biggest thing is the data entry, right? We're only as good as we are. So if you talk about your spreadsheets, and then now this system does all that stuff, and taking this to a new way, that's amazing. So it's great to hear these things and get this update of what's going on. And so thank you for the leadership, Sean. Thank you.
And Selena, I think that your daughter, Selena, is it your daughter who's working with our Experimental Aircraft Association group out at the airport? It's your daughter, right? That's all right. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody online, Hope? Okay, bring it back to the council. If anybody has any other questions, speak now, forever hold your peace. Otherwise, I will take a motion.
I'll move to approve resolution 2025-017.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Reedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearl,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Eklund,
Yes.
Mayor Andriotta.
Yes. All right. Now we are on the fun item for the evening. Item 10D, adopt resolution 2025-018, approving the proposal as submitted by the Art League of Lincoln and Lincoln Community Foundation for the allocation and the use of approximately $200,000 for funding toward the specified art programs, and directs the city manager to draft and execute all necessary agreements to carry forth the spending program. Mr. Scully.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, council. So one of the cool, I wouldn't say there's a million cool things about my career, but one cool thing is you do get to hoard the cool items and fun items for yourself. But actually, this one just sort of fell to me because I had the privilege of getting to work and kind of collaborate and hopefully build a little, take a small part in building an improved relationship with the Art League over my couple years here, and we've partnered on a lot of things over that time. And the Art League is in this is just my personal perspective, is in a really good place at the moment. And there's a lot of ambition to expand programs and do more in our community. So when council discussed in October of, well, before that, but in October of last year, they ratified a spending plan and MOU that obligated dollars for a variety of purposes. And it was the remaining money we received from the COVID relief, ARPA dollars. And those dollars needed to be spent and obligated by the end of 2025. And so we really needed to move to get that done. So there are many buckets. We don't need to go through all of them tonight. I'll just remind everyone that the concept the council put in place back when we originally received the funds, which really is a once in a multi-generation opportunity, it just doesn't happen, was to focus on things that we generally otherwise couldn't afford with our means. And so what appears externally, I think sometimes I've heard from folks like, why are you spending so much on this or that? And we're within our normal budget. We wouldn't. We just simply wouldn't. We just don't have the resources to do these kinds of things. But in this instance, we do. And so council's opinion over the years has been, let's really make the best of it while we can. So to that end, arts were one of the things that were discussed along with a number of others. In particular, public art and some of our civic amenities, and by that I mean the Civic Auditorium in Carnegie in particular, as our sort of older buildings. And what can we do with some of the resources we have to address a variety of needs in the community? Setting aside the Civic and Carnegie, those will come to you separately. There are plenty of work going on in the background on those. Was just how can we address art and public art and promote it in our community in a way that makes sense and really provides value. And so started having conversations with the Art League of Lincoln way back almost probably, I don't know, G, over 2 years ago. Wow. At that time, it was just sort of the baby kind of concept. We didn't really know how much or what. But as the discussion continued, what we ended up deciding was, you know, the Art League exists to expose and bring art to our community. And so what better group of people and nonprofit to charge with this effort than people that are experts in that field? Sort of logical. So after a number of meetings, the Art League kind of took a bunch of feedback, and I said, be creative, you're artists, come up with a great proposal. And they did. It's in your packet. I've summarized it in the report, and I'll go through it here real quickly. I would encourage everybody to read it. They did an excellent job. I can see now why you get so many grants over there. Someone's a good writer. So basically what they did was they proposed 4 concepts without budgets associated with them. We then met thereafter and we came up with pretty simple dollar figures to associate with them. And I'll go through all 4 with you. The total allocation for this would be $200,000. That leaves just under $300,000 for other efforts, Civic and Carnegie, in addition to some other resources that we have. So the first, you know what, I'm going to go in reverse. I'm going to go with the biggest deal last. Okay. So first was public art. There's a lot of discussion with the council about public art, how it, you know, where, what, how. And it's very difficult to do. Art is subjective. And what I was sensitive to is I don't like, where I can avoid it, putting council in positions where you're kind of making value decisions of things that really aren't typically a government function. And so the first $50,000 allocation of the total 200 will go towards public art. And the idea we have, should council agree, is that the Art League themselves will issue a request for proposals. So basically put out a call for projects to artists, professional artists that do this for a living, that are paid to do this, which is not the norm in Lincoln. I don't think we have a whole lot of art in Lincoln that has been paid to professional to do. They'll receive those proposals. It could be one large project. It could be multiple small projects. We just don't know. They will form a review committee and score all of the proposals. And then when they drill those down to their recommendations, they will elevate those to the city council for kind of ratification and placement. So I was sensitive to the fact that we didn't want to just give away total authority, but enough so that they get to the essentially 1 yard line and the city council can evaluate, hey, is it appropriate in this public space? Does it make sense? Is it the kind of artistic vibe that we're going for in this area? And so there are opportunities to provide some feedback and have some community stake and buy-in in that. It also eliminates it being any kind of political decision, which I think is probably best in this case. So that's 1. 2 is 2 and 3 are really education centered and community service centered. So as you may or may not know, in November of 22, Prop 28 was passed, which is the Arts and Music in Schools Act. And while that's great, what it has resulted in on some level is a shortage of art and music teachers locally, probably throughout the state, and that there's more resources to go towards that. We and the Art League see that there is a gap in Lincoln as it relates to low cost and available art education for the youth. And so the proposal is a $50,000 allocation to go towards art programs and classes for the youth that are offered at no or low cost, either through, some of them probably through our public school system here in Lincoln and other school systems that are here. as well as we'd really like to see them partner with our recreation program to add additional classes. We have a pretty robust recreation department, but we can always add more and provide opportunities for youth of all income categories to get low and or no cost art education. The third is the exact same thing, but for everybody else that's not a child. So we also offer a variety of classes for adults, and that also was a key component. The Art League has really leaned in, especially in recent years, into sort of these art education and opportunities for people that maybe wanted to get into pottery or watercolor or whatever. And this provides some resources for them to build a real program that, again, could be offered just directly through the Art League at one of our facilities here, through our recreation department, really creating flexibility for them to put forth a program that matters. Finally, the big one is reactivation of the Feats of Clay regional event. That has been, I guess, paused for a number of years now, and those who've lived here a long time know that one time it was a pretty important event here in town. It actually drew people. It is our understanding that Gladding is interested in restarting the event this year. This gives a $50,000 allocation for the Art League to do all of the things that are sort of spillover costs that you have to do to get a real event started. And it's very expensive. So, everything from insurance requirements to marketing to I'm assuming they'll probably use some of the money to set up the infrastructure for ongoing fundraising for future events. So this becomes a sustainable event again. And really re-engaging what once was a keystone event for Lincoln and unfortunately had kind of fallen off for a number of years. So we're super excited about that. It also is an economic development driver for Lincoln. It's a unique event that doesn't really exist anywhere else because there really isn't a Gladding McBean anywhere else, right? So super excited about that. I just by happenstance happened to be at the pop into the Art League at a event they had the other night. So we talked a little bit about this. I'm sure that they will get up and share how they feel about this. From a staff perspective, we think this is an excellent investment of one-time monies that, like I said, I can't imagine, at least in my career path, that I've ever worked for a place that could afford under a normal operational budget to do something like this. And what was important to me was that it hit all of the little categories we care about. So, the average resident can take advantage if they'd like. It also provides public space and art for your community, which really changes the feeling of a downtown area. And then, of course, the event. So that is the only other sort of administrative thing I'd mention is one of the things we were trying to figure out was how do we do this in such a way, because it may be that these dollars span a longer period of time, and that would be great. How do we do that in a way that is responsive to the requirements that we have from the federal government? And the way, fortunately, our now 3 or 4 or 5-time partner, the Lincoln Community Foundation, has raised their hand and said, hey, we would be happy to be the fiscal agent, essentially, and hold those dollars as part of the Lincoln Community Foundation. They will put that money into a money market account. It will earn interest or investment income. And then when the Art League is ready to roll out some of these programs, they will go to the Lincoln Community Foundation and they will prove it up. Here's what we need. Here's why we need it. Here's their estimates of what it's going to cost. And they have, I'm very confident in their abilities. They've administered a few programs for us over the years, and they're really good at it. And they're our key to nonprofits in Lincoln. So huge thanks to them. Huge thanks to the Art League. And we enthusiastically recommend this for your approval. Happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Sean. Questions, comments?
One quick follow-up. So I love everything about it. I wanted to ask a little bit about what steps we're going to take to make sure that once we reboot Feats of Clay, that it actually keeps going year after year after year.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. Some of it admittedly just depends on Gladding's continued interest in participating. And it sounds to me, based on what I'm hearing from folks, that is what they're willing to do. One of the discussions we've had is this money that they're going to use to restart it, some of it has to go towards creating the infrastructure for fundraising prior to event, during event, and what we've learned from 4th of July and some of these other nonprofits, most importantly, right after the event in advance of the next year's event. And so one of the things we've discussed is on all 4 of these, it's not off goes the money and good luck. We're going to want them back on, probably for the next, let's call it 2 years, on a roughly quarterly basis, to have Gia or Chris come talk a little bit about, here's what we're thinking. Can you give us some feedback on it? It's very possible that this amount for Feats of Clay is not enough to move them beyond maybe an event or 2. So we're going to have some of those conversations about how's fundraising going? Is there other support that you need? Is there research that we need to help you do with other similar kinds of cultural events about how are they successful there? What are they doing? Do they have an endowment? Do they have a benefactor that funds it? What's happening? And I think they're probably better to speak to that than I, but I know that you've thought a lot about it. I see Janet over there too, and I know she has. So would it be okay with council if they, okay.
Hi, my name is Janet Phoenix, and I'm one of the main authors of the report that was submitted with the buckets, as Sean called them. I started working with the Art League of Lincoln a couple of years ago. I'm from the Bay Area, and I've worked with government entities as an auditor in insurance business for 35 years, and I'm an artist. And so I'm taking all of this experience and bringing it to the Art League. And as their fundraising chair, I find it ultimately important to share with you that the depth of my experience is reflected in the organization right now. I've written a couple grants with the California Arts Council. We've gotten support from the Placer Community Foundation. I've worked with local governments in getting funding, private foundations, and it's been fairly successful. And the organization is reflective of that. We've put a lot of emphasis in sustainable funding and also the way we conduct our business. So mining the professionals that are in our organization to bring the business acumen necessary for us to do what we want to do for the community, serve our mission and our vision for 10, 15 years to come. I think that's really important that you understand that that's where we're coming from. But we're artists and we're professionals and we're serious about making Lincoln our city that has a viable cultural arts organization. And that's what we are here to do today. And we really appreciate your faith in us. And we're not going anywhere. And I have a team, and we're in the process of training them to write grants. And we've been very successful with sponsorships, and we're actually updating our website right now. It should be going up live soon with a sponsorship program and also estate giving. And so having a kind of an octopus of opportunities for fundraising is what's going to really make us sustainable in this city. So that's where we're coming from. And again, thank you so much for having the faith in us. It's been, I think, 18 months, 21 months that Sean and I and Chris have been working on this. So I feel like Cinderella at the ball today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Gia McNutt, and I am so honored to be here tonight and just so grateful for this city's support. I really believe that Lincoln is one of the best cities I've ever had the pleasure of working in, and you're so supportive. I came on as a volunteer operations manager in May of 2022, and I'm so delighted at some of the things that we've accomplished during this time. We've gone from not having really any classes at all to having tons of classes, and our revenue and our profit is coming from that. But we've also, in case you probably know, we actually did do Feats of Clay last year for the first time in 12 years. And it was really exciting. We had 250 people over at the Art League of Lincoln for our reception. And sustainability is really what we're working on. And not just fiscal sustainability, but organizational sustainability. So we've actually been putting in place all kinds of different roles and all volunteer pretty much. So it's really a Herculean effort to do that. But we are not just going to let this money get spent. We are absolutely, as Jan said, we're just launching a new sponsorship program, and we're basically acting like we don't have the money. You know, we want to be bootstrapping and make it happen. So just thank you. Such a visionary city manager, council, mayor, and everybody. Thank you so much for your support. We are so grateful.
Thanks, Gia. Appreciate that. All right, anybody else in the audience like to make a comment? Yes.
It's nice to be walking up here. I don't know if you guys remember a few months ago, I was broken. You know, I want to say that I heard Sean say something about art and community, and I wanted to echo it, but something about if a community doesn't have art, it's not thriving or something along the lines. He might be able to reiterate that. And so it was really nice to see when I first moved to Lincoln, that Art League, and I went to the window a few times to see what they offered. And you know, my daughter now has done 2 years and in where we sponsor a lot of art in schools. And so I was in the school at Lincoln High School, and I walked into the office and there were 25 art projects that the school had probably done, maybe 30. And it was phenomenal. It was, I mean, the time that was taken by those kids and what they put out, and then to have those teachers take the effort to put it out is just wonderful. So I really want you to know, as a citizen and a person who's been in the Art League, I support and I want us to spend that money. And I was really glad to hear that we had 300,000 left of that fund. Thank you.
Anybody on?
Oh,
Yeah, come on. Yes. Yeah.
No tripping on the
I
way
just
back.
want to thank you guys for doing this. The Community Foundation, our mission is to enrich our city. And those ARPA, with the ARPA funds, that's what we've done. Not only with the Art League, but with everything else we've been involved in with those ARPA funds. Our city is spot on. And I watch the news all the time. I read the newspapers. I don't see any other city investing like our city does in the people. All of that money went to our people to enrich our city, to make us feel good about living in Lincoln. And I think that's kudos to you guys. Awesome. Did you get that?
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris. And just thank you for all you do with the Lincoln Community Foundation. You have a heavy load. You take care of a lot, and we really appreciate that. And I love that it exists to enrich the city. I think that's great. Love it. And it's always worthwhile projects, right? It's always things that are lasting and beneficial. So thank you. All right. Anybody on Zoom? No? Okay. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll go first.
Go
I could talk about this forever, but I won't for the sake of everybody's time. But I cannot emphasize how much I support this initiative, this endeavor. I feel very proud when I look at the breakdown. It's so responsible and thoughtful. I feel completely confident in all of your ability to implement, and I can't wait to see what you guys come up with and bring to us. And there were so many things that everybody said that stood out to me. One of the things was culture. I could go on and on. I know I'm in like-mindedness here, but why art is so important. I have told my kids before, art is everywhere. And if you want to know how important it is, just think about a world without it for a minute. And it's unimaginable. It brings us together as a community. It provides wellness. It brings out our culture. It gives us joy. It's therapeutic, all the things. So I feel this is a great way to spend these ARPA funds. And thank you so much for putting this together. And I'm just thrilled and excited.
Yeah, ditto. And I appreciate all the work that you've put in on this, Sean, too, with the Art League. And just, I know you've been working on it for a long time and very grateful. So I'm excited to see what you guys do too. It's going to be great. I'm ready to take a motion if you guys are ready.
Move to, were you going to say something?
He was
Oh.
going to let me do
I
it.
know, well, but it's in my district.
I tried to turn his mic
That
off,
does
but it
not
didn't work.
matter. It does not matter.
Go ahead.
That's what he
Go
always
ahead.
says. It's in my district. It does not matter.
Just a second. I motion to adopt resolution 2025-018, approving the proposal as submitted to the Art League for $200,000.
Second. He's talking, so I second.
All right, we've got our first and second. Go ahead, roll call, please.
Okay, Councilmember Eklund,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearl,
Yes.
Councilmember Rady,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Mayor Andriata.
Yes. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Woohoo!
Very exciting. And thanks for, see, I knew there was somebody at the end that we made wait till the very end. All right,
Really good.
city manager reports.
Yeah, my philosophy is if you're going to get $200,000 from the city of Lincoln, you got to wait till
Got to
the
wait
end
the
of
whole
it.
meeting. Yeah, there you go.
Let's,
There you go. Yes. Yes. Thank you very much.
So, thank you very much, Mayor. Just two or three very brief updates. First is that, I think I mentioned this last meeting, I'm just going to keep promoting it. We have a workshop coming in February that is going to be on the library funding shortfall. It's a super important one. We've got, it's a pretty good presentation. Catherine is one of our most talented public speakers, and so she's going to walk you through some of the work we've done thus far on that.
You know what date that is, Sean?
February 4th. And we'll verify that. We'll, no, that's the night. I was actually worried I was out of town, but I'm here. So that's the first. We have a laundry list of items, though. We have, we're going to do an updated discussion and deep dive analysis on tax sharing and tax rate areas, so we can kind of get a better idea about, this was an idea that came from Councilmember Reedy about, let's not only just think about Lincoln's tax sharing areas and what those deals may or may not be. Let's think about what deals exist outside of Lincoln and some of our other sister cities just down to the south of us. So I think that, like the idea is that I don't track those. I'm not sure that really any city tracks what's going on in other cities that are really tax sharing, but it's important, right? Because there's an equity issue. We all provide the same services essentially, and so resources to do so, should be fair. So we're gonna get into that, and then there's a couple other thereafter that are on doc. I'll circle back with council on this, but there's enough that I actually, depending on an agenda, if it's a lighter one, we may actually try to force one into a normal meeting night at sort of the beginning, and just be super efficient so you can get to your business that evening. But I don't want everybody to be waiting 5 months for the next thing that's coming down the road. And then strategic planning, still looking kind of at the end of February. That'll include interviews with each individual council member, a number of staff. There'll be some community interviews. And then we probably will do it depending on the anticipated attendance, either at the library or at the pavilion, just depending on availability. And only other thing is, and I'm sure the council members will speak to it directly, good week and a half in terms of community outreach for us. I was able to sit in with Councilmember Pearl on a really wonderful conversation with the Turkey Creek community. We're a lot of new residents that want to learn a little bit more about Lincoln and what we're doing. And then we had Councilmember Brown, excuse me, Mayor Pro Tem Brown had a meeting just last night for District 2 right here at City Hall, where we had a good but small group of people come and have a great conversation. It sounds like those kind of localized district meetings are going to continue, and we're interested in doing them in everybody's district when time allows. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Sean, for the strategic planning at the end of February, are you going to have Hope send out date requests for us? Could you do that sooner than later?
Yep.
So I don't get stuck with all my dates filled up.
No, I'll make sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
I should have it all verified this week.
Okay, appreciate that. All right, council initiated business.
Council, if I may just
Oh,
real
sure.
one
Yeah,
quick
yeah.
tag on item. I wanted to make council aware that tomorrow morning is actually our HUD required point in time count.
Yes.
And so our team has been working for several months to make sure that we've got the right people out there and can track down our homeless individuals. The question will be based on, where did you sleep tonight? And so we'll be asking questions and taking survey data and coming up with some information about you, what our sheltered, unhoused versus our unsheltered, unhoused look like by way of demographics and numbers. And so we should have that count. We can actually count for 1 week, but the question is always based on, where did they sleep tonight on the 28th? So we should have some preliminary rough numbers from you just based on our own internal house tallies, probably within 7 to 10 days. And then, of course, that all gets sent to HUD and digested and run through a lot of other processes where you get final numbers probably in 6 months or so. So tomorrow's the big day.
Yep, thank you. I did know that. Yeah, thank you. Who's all on your team to do that?
So we have our 2 police officers that work with our homeless population. We've got code enforcement is going out. We have, I think, 5 or 6 members of the community that are on the team, a lot of them on our Adopt a Creek team. We also have some health and human services individuals that have been assigned, and also, I think, probation. So we've
Okay.
got a good number of people involved.
Great. Look forward to hearing how that goes. Okay, council initiated business. Anybody have any business? I have a couple things. I mentioned this to Sean right before our meeting tonight. Ed Heidick from council member, Congressman Kylie's office, the field rep here, he's retiring at the end of February. So I would like for us to do a proclamation for him. He's been very helpful. He goes to everything. He's been there for us when we needed anything. He picks up his phone all the time. And so I'd like to invite him whenever he can come, either the first or second meeting in February. So I'd like to do that if the council's good with that. And then also, I wanted to ask the council, did all of you receive the same email that I got today from council member from the city of Murrieta? Did you guys get that today? So just real quickly, council member from the city of Murrieta, located southwest Riverside County, their city adopted a resolution opposing the state of California interfering with the city's land use authority, specifically targeting the unfunded mandate of housing and the RENA numbers and all of that. And there was a land use template resolution, and then their resolution was attached. And the city of Murrieta is encouraging all 482 California cities to adopt this resolution opposing the unfunded mandate of providing high-density housing to meet unrealistic goals set by the state of California. And I'm not sure if this council wants to undertake that right this moment, considering our litigation with the Gathering Inn, which includes the state. But this is something that is very interesting to me, because I have been saying for years that the cities need to band together and push back on the state on this. You know, this idea of local control and land use authority is a real issue. And so I would just like, I'll send it to Christine, and then she can disseminate it to you guys so you can see it. And I think it's something that we should actually think about. And so read the email, read the resolution, think about it, and then maybe next time when we come back, we can have a conversation about it. So again, like I said, I'm not sure if right this moment, but I'm actually in favor of it, because I'm really sick of the state and their overreach. And especially with what we're dealing with right now. So anyway, just think about that. And I think that's all I have for business. Okay. The next one is committee reports.
PCTPA.
Woohoo!
It was a really, really good first meeting for me. They did go over, the bulk of it really was just going over the failed measure, of course, Measure B, going through the statistics and how it really kind of is a letdown for all those that voted for it, being that we're required to get 66%. Lincoln, of course, came in at 68% with their precincts. And then the other two cities just fell short and we just didn't pull it all together. So we talked a lot about that and kind of where to go from there. And so there, I may bring some more information on that as things develop there, but that was really kind of the bulk of it. And I'm excited to continue to rub shoulders and see what kind of a difference we can make there.
Awesome.
Did they happen to talk about what the next steps look like or what they're going to do next?
Yeah, they did actually. Thanks for asking the question. So there's talk of trying to change the threshold from 66% to maybe a 50 or 55%, just because it's pretty much impossible to get that kind of a measure. He also talked a little bit about the possibility of maybe going with toll road to pay for that additional room.
Matt Click.
Yeah, he's the. Thank you. Forget.
Yep. And also what PCTPA is doing is going for federal grant funding, like $22 million.
Yep.
And to put it with the 5 or 6 million that they already have to do part of it, to do that section of
Very small
65,
part,
very
but yeah.
small part. It's
Some of
Blue
it is-
Oaks, Blue Oaks,
and Galleria,
and
but it's
Pleasant
on
Grove
the
and Galleria. Mhm.
southbound side
Mhm.
more than the
Yep.
northbound side, but.
so they're working on that. Yeah. Anybody else?
Yes, I went to my very first Pioneer Energy meeting. And it was
How
like,
was that?
and it was like drinking from a fire hose. It's their rate setting for 2025. And they went through quite a number of slides. They also showed their audit, but the main thrust of the meeting was on their rate proposal for 2025. And they came out with a 4% discount from PG&E. Now, according to, when I spoke with the executive director today, he said when Pioneer was first put together, they were looking at a 3% basic discount. That was going to be the minimum threshold. And they've gone above it. They've never gone down below it. One of the big takeaways is the volatility of energy costs, and that's what's driving so much of this. So it was an eye-opening for me. We're going to be at 4% discount from PG&E. He also mentioned that that system-wide, they're going to be generating a $31 million net savings throughout all of their participants in Pioneer. And I've asked them to come back and what does that mean in terms of Lincoln? So we'll get that information, but it's a very professional organization. The rate decrease the new rate increase will come in on March 1st. But so it's a good thing. And when I was at the the League of Cities new city council member training program, we sat with Whitney and I and John, we sat with a new council person from Yuba City, and Yuba and Sutter are going into Pioneer in another couple of years. So, we're getting more and more people into that, which is going to be good for all of us.
They're really expanding quite a bit.
Yes. And then I also I had a meeting, kind of a meet and greet with the Placer County Air Pollution Control District up in Auburn. And again, just to find out what they're doing. It's an independent agency, and they're doing some pretty good work. They're very good work. It's a $25 million budget. They do a lot for us on that.
The Air Board, yeah.
The Air Board, yes.
Yeah. The Air Board is actually a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that, so I hope you will
Yep.
too. Yeah. So I'm sorry, did you say that you just met with,
Yeah,
or
yes,
did you have a meeting, or did you just
No,
meet with staff?
this is just a meet and greet
Meet
with
with
the
Eric?
staff. Yes,
Okay.
yes, Eric and
Perfect.
Adam, yes.
Right. Awesome.
Richard and I both attended the PCWA 2x2. And for that meeting, it was pretty much just an orientation, I think, that they just got us up to speed with all things water, where our water comes from, how much, and then we're going to be taking a field trip
Are
at
you
our
guys
next
going up
meeting.
to the hellhole?
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun. You'll like it?
Mhm. Yep.
What are you
we'll get
guys
to see
doing
that
then?
for, I think, April. Yeah. And then for LAFCO, there's been 3 different hearings, and basically we're just going through all of the different cities that are in jurisdictions and utility districts, and they're doing MSRs, which is municipal service reviews, basically a report card on the health and wellness of all those different boundaries and jurisdictions. And then some of them are doing SOIs, which is sphere of influences. And that's basically a report that is showing if they're a healthy city or district that they can grow if they choose to, and where that on a map would be, and where that what that looks like. So they're all just drafts right now, basically, but that's where we're at.
And just as a side note, sorry, I'll get to you. I've appointed Councilmember Pearl to the Truckee Airport. Is that what it's called? The Truckee Airport Land Use Authority. Yeah. Because he's our resident expert on that. So it didn't have to be the mayor, so I was happy to let him do it. So they don't meet a whole lot, but yeah, it'll be interesting. And then John, did you?
I just had a question for Whitney about, they're going to the different cities. Is Lincoln in the queue, and if so, when?
We already went. We went through that whole entire process before annexation approval.
For 5?
Yep.
Yeah, so we have, I think MSRs, unless the laws change, are supposed to last 5 years. So I think we're good for 3 now.
It was 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think that's right. Is that Christian about right? Yeah.
Sounds great. Did you have a Wapman meeting yet? Is it this week? Okay, awesome.
Well, since John hasn't commented, which is very rare for him, maybe you can explain what's going on with what we went through with the League of Cities conference and new council member.
Really? Really? It's 3 days.
It's just a
Yeah,
few
From
classes.
7 a.m. to 5
It's a
p.m.
lot.
I'm not recapping for everyone. It's on the website if you really want to know. But it was a great opportunity for all of us to kind of get a refresher on all basic things about planning and city finances and ethics and, some of the things we have to follow as council members. So I found it very beneficial. There's 150 or 200 people, council people from Northern California, brand new, and mayors. It was a great opportunity. I enjoyed it. But I'm not going to cover the details, but it was great.
Yeah. Well, and what's great about that too, not only is you get the training, but when you are new to it, you meet council members and mayors from other cities and you become friends and you get their feedback, and it's very valuable. So I'm glad you guys went. I'm glad I didn't have to go this time, but it was, yeah, I'm glad you guys was productive. All right. Any other information items? from
Yeah, I
anybody?
have one little one. I have heard for a long time, actually, and it just kind of pops up here and there. And I know I think about it all the time whenever I'm coming out from off 12 Bridges onto Sierra College. It's just a really dangerous intersection that a lot of people are worried about in my district. And I know from researching this, probably a couple of years ago, that belongs to the county to develop that intersection and traffic light. And it is predicated on the 740th permit pulled in Bickford, which is a while away. And so I just reached out to our supervisor, Shanti Landon, and asked her if there was anything that we could possibly get creative with, and if she would think about if there was a way that we could get that done sooner. So she's going to look into that, and I'm feeling optimistic, so we'll see.
Yeah, thanks for asking about that. Yeah, it's a death trap out there.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
Anything else?
So for the district meetings that I'm holding, we'll be doing 2 a month, usually right before our council meeting. Well,
That's ambitious.
yes, I know it is,
I'm
but it's
proud-
for a purpose.
I think that's great. No, that's great. Yeah.
If I'm the only one that shows, then I'll have some cookies by myself. I don't know. No, so it'll be the 5th, no, the 10th of February and the 24th will be the next 2. And really, the goal is so that the community that, not just, and it's open to anybody, it's not just District 2, right? So anyone from in the city limits can come. But being that I represent District 2, I can only hold a meeting for that, essentially. Any other meeting, I would have to get permission, whatnot, but for, so anyways, so to connect with the community so that items that are on the agenda and items that we're facing or things that are going on in the city, that we can get those talked about and resolved or find out the focus of what our community is. So that's the biggest reason that I'm doing it. Oh, and then, of course, on the 11th of February, right? The 8:30, Department 42 for the litigation for TGI. So.
I have one last really quick thing and then we will adjourn, let you guys go home. And this is more of a kind of a public service announcement. We spend a lot of time talking about how great Lincoln is. The people here are wonderful. But every now and then, people are human and they say and do things that are not very kind. And I had one of my neighbors who we have communicated through Facebook or Messenger for quite a few years. I've never actually met him in person, but he has the same last name as my maiden name. And so we joke about that we might be related. But anyway, very nice guy. And he works for the government. And he messaged me the other night, very, very upset. And he said that, with what's happening with our new administration in DC and all the talk about immigration and all of that, there was somebody walking on his street, don't even know if the person lives here, walking on his street who said to his wife, who was walking their dog, his wife is Korean, and he said to this person, to his wife, go back to China. And so he had Lincoln police come out and talk to her because she was really upset. And so he called me and he's like, this is not who we are. And I want you to post something. And I said, well, let me think about it. Right. Cause you don't want to be knee-jerk reaction. So I'm using this opportunity just to say that Lincoln is very special. And I always say that nobody comes together like Lincoln in a crisis. If somebody needs help, more times than not, if you leave your purse in the cart at Walmart, it'll get returned to you rather than stolen. We're not perfect. There are people that sin and do things all the time, but Lincoln is very safe and very loving. And I don't know if this person lives in Lincoln or just thought they were being cute or funny, but I want to say that that's not who we are and that everybody is loved and valued. I don't care where you're from. If you're here or you're from another place, I don't really care. And I would just encourage people in our community to be kind. Don't say things like that. And if you do hear somebody say something like that, I don't know. We can't call the police on people like that, but just, try to elevate their behavior and their verbiage and be kind, because that's not who we are. That's not who we're ever going to be. And I find that behavior absolutely disgusting. And so I wanted my friend, my neighbor, to know that I take it seriously. Hopefully our officers were able to calm her down, let her know that that's not who we are. And I just wanted to say that. So
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Mayor. Yeah, thank you. That is unacceptable.
Right. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. We are adjourned.
Hey.
Thank you, staff.